Today we're going to talk about the dangers of working too hard. And I've had several instances in my life where I've been working too hard and kind of burned myself out. And in two extreme cases, one of them ended up with me lying in the middle of a post office, having passed out, and the other one I was in front of my computer and didn't know where the start button went. So I've had my fair share of burnout and have learned a lot of lessons through it, ways that I can spot myself in it, and also how by working too much, you lose your creativity and you become a bit dulled. So stick around for the video, and I'm going to address all those different things so you can better gauge when you're working too much and how you can be more creative. Hello, Dale Majors here, and welcome to Venture Anyway. To get more of what you want, set a target and take action. The first thing you can do is to subscribe and ring the bell, and you'll be on your way. So for me, a lot of the symptoms of working too hard can be sadness, maybe feeling a bit dulled out, or having a lack of creativity and progress in the different projects you're working on. I'm even gonna share how you might end up doing stupid things that could get you hurt. And stick around to the end, we're gonna talk about how you often get good ideas when you're not trying to. So first thing, sadness. I'm usually a pretty cheery and optimistic person, but a lot of times when I'm working too hard or not taking care of myself, I'll see kind of a sad Dale version come in, and I'll have different thoughts that aren't as healthy as when I'm optimistic and awesome. Just thinking a little more, despair. Dang, this is kind of getting deep. I promise I'm okay. But I just don't feel as good about life. I've come to realize that when I'm overworked or stressed, that version of myself is the one that should not be trusted. The one that doesn't see the world as my oyster and that isn't optimistic and super happy all the time. So I know that I need to put that person to sleep. So a lot of times when you're working too hard and when you're overworked, if that starts to affect your perspective on how you're approaching the world, then that's a good sign that you need to start taking care of yourself. So one simple trick that is more of a temporary fix is to take a power nap. Several times a week, I will lay down on the ground in my office. I'll take my watch off so I don't get any notifications, and I'll tell Siri to set a timer for 15 minutes, and I'll go to sleep. And that's something that can refresh me and give me an hour, 2 hours of renewed willpower. If you want to learn more about willpower, I've got a video about that I'll link to in the description that talks about how our willpower is finite, and if we run out of it, then it's a lot harder to be productive. So it's really important to keep up on our willpower, and having enough sleep is one great way to do that. Another thing that happens when I'm overworked and maybe a little out of balance when I'm working too much is that my creativity and my inspiration dwindles. And I actually had an opportunity to experience this firsthand on Tuesday, okay? On Christmas Eve, I had a lot of stuff to do. I wanted to make videos. I had several things on my to-do list that I wanted to do before noon, but I wasn't really feeling all that inspired. I'd been working a lot, so I just figured that I would go to a movie with my brothers. They invited me, and in order to get some exercise in, I took my longboard out and I longboarded the 6 miles there and the 6 miles back. And it was so interesting. While I was on the longboard, I had so many different things that I'd been thinking about before, worrying about, or just hoping to try to figure out in my business. And I had this amazing time of inspiration. I had a lot of inspiration, great thoughts, and all I was doing was listening to music and riding my longboard, just forgetting about it. We're going to talk a little bit later in the video how when we do activities that don't require a lot of our focus, how our mind can wander. When we do activities that let our mind wander, we actually can be a lot more creative, and I'll actually share a study that goes into that. I've had so many great experiences running, jogging, bike riding, hiking, or doing things where my mind was wandering, where the different problems that I had in my business or life, because I had that time to just be out and have my mind wander, I came up with so many new thoughts and solutions to that. So I was much more creative as I gave myself a break, which is really counterintuitive. Another danger of working too much is it's harder to get people to follow you if you're not living in alignment with your values. So if you say that you value your family and all these different things, but you just spend your time all the time working, and you're not investing the time on those other areas of life that are important, then people are going to see that, and you're not going to have as much oomph and gusto and personal power, and people will recognize that and they won't follow you because of it. A friend of mine shared a story about a boss he had in the pet food industry years ago that bragged about having not taken a sick day for like 10 years or 20 years, some obscene amount of time. And my friend talked about his reaction to that, saying, I don't admire you for that. That's crazy. Of course, he just said, okay, great, and then he went and took Christmas Eve with his family. But a lot of times, people don't want to follow that uneven, imbalanced person. They want to follow people that are living in alignment with their values. I really like this quote by Dave Barry: "You should not confuse your career with your life." Who wants to be a machine? Even machines need maintenance to oil and lube and whatever else to get going. We need that kind of maintenance as well. And I'm going to talk about different ways that you can do that are actually going to be a lot of fun, because working too much can get you down. Some researchers from UC Santa Barbara did a study where they gave people an exercise of 2 minutes. They had to come up with creative uses for things like toothpicks and clothing pins and bricks. How many different creative ideas can you come up with that? So one of the test groups, right after that, they did a 12-minute brain teaser that required all of their focus. And then they went and had another test to do another 2 minutes of coming up with ideas. One of the other groups did something less involved, where their mind was allowed to wander. And what they learned from that is the group whose mind was allowed to wander that next 12 minutes scored 40% better on their next test because they could wander. So one really important thing to remember is that if you didn't have that initial test, if you don't have that problem that you're thinking of, where you're really trying to solve your issue, if you don't have that top of mind, the 12-minute mind wandering didn't help. It doesn't help. So it's really important that we focus with passion and intensity on the things that we want in our life. So that's why every day in the morning you review your goals, your affirmations, what you want out of life. When you go to sleep, that's why you say your prayers in the morning, the night, focusing on what you want. And then when our mind's wandering, it can help us solve those problems. Archimedes, who discovered the law of displacement, actually made that discovery while he was in the bathtub. It all clicked while he was in the bathtub. It's another testament to the need of creating time for ourselves every day where our mind can wander. So I want to give you 3 tips that will help you avoid those dangers of working too hard. And the first tip is delegation. Learn to delegate. A lot of times, imagining Kurt Picard on the Starship Enterprise, Star Trek guy, imagining him behind his desk, behind his command center, he's calling or making orders and assigning and delegating. A lot of times when I'm too busy in the weeds, I think about, okay, don't do anything, Dale. Just think about all the things that need to be done and start making assignments. And if you don't have anybody to help you right now, then that's okay. Step into your captain role, make all the assignments to you, and then go and do them. But we don't want to be constantly in the mode of doing, because then we'll never learn to scale and leverage the efforts of others. So to avoid the dangers of working too hard, you can refocus your efforts on being more organized and learning to delegate. Tip 2 is to start taking downtime where your mind can wander. I plan every single week. It's probably the best personal productivity habit that I have, is I take time to plan. And when I plan, I have a list of all the different activities that I like to have in my week. And I've come up with that list based on the HATS goals that I have. I'll link to the video as well about learning the HATS model, so you can plan for yourself and come up with the same list. But I have different activities that I like to do. A long distance endurance activity, exercising. When am I going to do something fun? When am I going to play table tennis? I plant different activities in the week that give me planned, scheduled downtime where my mind can wander. So think about that you need, if you want to be creative and get more done, then you need to schedule downtime. If all you do for your job is shipping packages and you go through the warehouse and you have to get 20 orders out per hour, then these tips may not be as useful for you during your job because you have to be there. But if you're in any sort of knowledge work where you have to come up with ideas and be creative and creatively solve problems, then this is going to be really helpful. But even for the warehouse person, if you're on a bike ride after work and you're able to think about, wow, we're really doing that inefficiently, maybe I could change this or that or the other, then you'll also benefit. So these ideas really are universally applicable. And you're going to be a lot more productive if you make an effort and plan downtime where your mind can wander. My third tip to avoid the dangers of working too much and to avoid burnout is keep a constant focus on improving your productivity. I actually came out with a 6-day time management masterclass. I'll put a link as well. There's lots of links in the description today. But learn to be more productive. You're going to be in a lot of different jobs and positions and roles through your life. And the more that you can learn to manage yourself through delegation, taking time off and staying fresh and creative and awesome, and being productive, all of those things are going to go better. In my masterclass, I talk a lot about being a surfer, where you can never control the wave, but you can control your skills, and you can control your fitness level, and you can control your understanding of the waves, but you can't control the wave. You can't control your business a lot of times, your different events in your personal life, but you can control how productive you are. Oh, so the last story, the post office. I was working way too much, and I was sick. I woke up one morning at 5 a.m. I was sick. I had to go to an event at 9 a.m. and I had to carpool people there. So I said, great, I'm just gonna do it. I shipped out eBay orders, and I got in my car to go to the post office, and I was waiting in the lobby, and a friend called me, and I was just feeling so sick. I said, oh friend, can you bring me some Pepto-Bismol? I'm feeling so bad. And he said, perfect, I can. The call dropped. I walk up to the counter, and then I feel like I'm gonna throw up. I just feel like I'm gonna throw up. So I put my phone down. When I put my packages down, I pick up my phone to answer my friend who called back. And while I was walking over to go outside to throw up and talk to him on the phone, everything just came at me at once. I passed out in the post office and woke up. And several years later, so that's crazy, I had to get stitches in my head, but several years later, I went to work at 7 a.m. I stayed there until the nighttime. I slept under my desk. I woke up the next day, then was working, and it was 4 p.m. And I took the garbage out, and I had Heelys. Only the people that really are interested in this are going to stay around to the end, right? I had Heelys, and I run out from the garbage can, or I take the garbage out in my Heelys outside, and then on the way back, I run with the garbage can and then start heeling, but then my foot touched down because I was tired and burned out, and I slammed down and hit my face on the cement, and it left me a little scar shaped like, or a scab shaped like the United States of America with the Florida Panhandle and everything. And I had a concussion, so I went back inside, washed my face off, and then I was trying to work on the computer again, but I didn't know where the start button went. So working too much can really be dangerous, and don't go my way. I hope these tips helped you. If you're not subscribed to the channel, subscribe and follow along. I create videos to help people become more action-oriented and to get what they want, because through a lot of these tips, we can really get the things that we want in life. And I'm happy to have you here. Thank you for following along, and I'll see you on the next video.